That's better.
All right, Alex, how are you doing?
How you doing, Ross? You hear me okay?
All right, mate. Where
Good.
in Scotland are you from, Alex?
I'm up in the Highlands, mate. I'm in Aviemore, the Cairngorm National Park.
How far is that from Andes in Aberdeen?
I could get to Aberdeen in about an hour and 20 minutes probably.
Yeah, that's all
Yeah,
right.
I'm originally from South Glasgow, the south side of Glasgow.
Right.
I've
Big
been up
box.
here a couple of years.
Go on, sorry, what?
I've been up here a couple of years.
Big boxing fan, Alex.
Big boxing fan, love it. Always been a massive fan.
Who's your favourite fighter?
Oh, that's a question. Well, I have to be honest with you, mate. I'm a massive Floyd Mayweather fan. He gets a lot of stick, he gets a lot of flack, but he's hard not to admire for what he's achieved. I maybe wouldn't like his character as a person. We're actually the same age. We're only a couple of weeks apart in age. I maybe wouldn't like having a pint with him, but I can't not admire what he's done.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's my favourite fighter. I would probably say my absolute favourite would probably be Duran.
Do you think that Floyd Mayweather set the precedent for fighters these days that just want to protect their own?
No, I think fundamentally Floyd bases his persona on his upbringing, and he wants absolutely as much as he can get from life because when he was brought up he had very little. So I think there's an element of selfishness, but his focus is beyond normal human beings' understanding. His focus and his drive is way above the 1% of the 1%. So I don't think many fighters can compete with him in mindset alone. I think that's why he sets himself apart.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. What do you think to obviously next couple of days we've got Joshua against Ngannou. What do you think to that fight and how they're all saying Joshua's back and this and that and blah blah blah?
No, no. I was actually at the fight with Klitschko, and when Klitschko rattled Joshua, he literally the colour drained out him. I was close enough to see his reaction to when Klitschko clipped him, and it did something to him, and it was noticeable if you weren't engaging with what the audience were doing, which was just baying for blood at that point. His body language changed. He had never been clipped like that. And then when it happened with Ruiz took something from him. And I don't think at that level, when you're in front of the world stage like that, I don't think you ever get it back. I don't think he's back at all. I think I think Ruiz, although he got lucky the second time round because Ruiz let himself go, I think Joshua has had his moment and he's shone quite brightly, and
Yeah.
it's over now. That's just what I feel.
Do you feel that they've wheeled him out for these big fights now because there's basically no left of him, but they're trying to make out that he's stronger, faster, quicker than a speeding bullet and all this. But he's been very, very, very carefully matched from day one, though, hasn't he? Really, you know, when you go through the CV and you look at
Yeah,
how they navigated him away from mandatories and this and that. Because don't forget, he was going to be wild as mandatory, wasn't he, when he was with WBC, and he jumped to IBF, didn't he, to fight Charlie Martin? You remember that, don't you?
yeah, he's bounced around, and it's not just been random picks. There's nothing random about his legacy and his career. I
Mm.
mean, Charles Martin. I mean, this guy. Most people wouldn't even know who he was. Luckiest man alive. No, he doesn't have an incredible legacy. I also think that his true character has actually consumed him, and he carries a hell of a lot of bitterness and anger because when Joshua was riding the crest of the wave, when he was getting put out in front of millions of people, and he was in every single news platform, and Eddie was falling over himself to present him as this incredible athlete. It was like the second coming of Christ almost. I think when the bubble burst, Joshua was so shocked. Sorry, when you go.
No, go on. I'm just changing this line. It's blasting me.
Joshua was so shocked by how quickly the public, and more importantly, the boxing public turned on him.
Yeah.
They developed his true character that he'd been suppressing came out, and his bitterness just overflowed, and it's consumed him. It's made him nervous. It's made him put the brakes on. He can't let his hands go. He can't relax. He's terribly stuck in front of the cameras. He's not got the confidence that he used to have because he's found out that he knows in his own head that he knows he's not elite. He knows he's not elite. He's never been elite. That's just my opinion, of course.
Do you remember not so long ago, David Price obviously put him on Button Moon, Daniel Dubois, Lawrence Okoli. The list is endless. Dylan White gave him accounting amateurs, so he's got a problem around the beard, hasn't he? You know.
Yeah. There's levels to everything, Russ, as you know, and there's levels to your chin. And when you get clipped with these guys, especially somebody as absolutely fearless as Andy Ruiz, he's just fearless. He doesn't care who you put in front of him. He's banging, and he's going to keep banging until the lights go out. When that happened to Joshua, his entire persona changed. He never handled defeat like a champion.
In the ring after, I thought he was all right against Ruiz, didn't you?
Yeah, but that was early in the moment. That was like the shock hadn't set in. Afterwards, he had a long time to think about that, and he probably watched it over. And sometimes maybe the fear takes a while to set in. You know what it's like after you've had a fight or you've had a altercation in a pub. Initially, the adrenaline's still coursing through your veins, so you're okay. It's later on that night when you go home, you start to consider things, and you start to say, that could have went really bad for me. He's the long time to think about things now. I just think his confidence is shattered. I don't wish him ill will. I don't know him to dislike him. I just don't think that I don't even think he's in the top 4 or 5 now. I don't think he's got it.
Mm.
I blame his promoter for that a large portion, because when people are, and trainers in particular, continually telling you that you're unstoppable, you're unbeatable. If we've learned anything from boxing in 100 years, nobody's unbeatable.
Yeah.
There are times when you could say, is it Castillo with Floyd Mayweather? Maidana gave him a hard time. There are guys out there that have gave him a hard time. Cotto, that was a solid fight with Cotto. You could be picky and say, I don't think Pacquiao beat Mayweather, not if you're talking about pure boxing. But there are times where you could say, well, that could have went the other way. Nobody's unbeatable.
Yeah. Getting back to Joshua, do you feel that Andy Ruiz fight, that he was on a loser to nothing? Because Ruiz were brought in, obviously, to take Miller's place, and they just picked, basically, Ruiz, like the match fighters sometimes, just off box rate. They looked at Ruiz and thought, yeah, we'll have him. He'll put some weight on after that last camp. He'll be overweight. He always looks out of shape. And Parker's already beat him, and we beat Parker. That's how Eddie and Matcham will have looked at it. That's called box rec matching. Just because A beats B don't mean B beats C. You know all that, carry on, don't you? So what do you think about that scenario? Do you think that...
I think it backfired massively.
Yeah. Well, obviously the Ruiz, he got a good hiding, but if he'd have beat Ruiz, we would have all said, where's the fat man? Because he lost to Ruiz in the fashion he did, because Ruiz wouldn't have beat him on points, the fix would have been in. But because he lost to Ruiz in the fashion he did, how many times did he hit deck? 5, 6 times? It was a lot, wasn't it? Because he's lost to that bloke, Ruiz. We're hammering him anyway. So we run a loser to no. And I see the same sort of scenario with this one. The guy's in his second fight. Joshua beats him. We're all going to go, that's in his second fight. If he beats Joshua, we're all going to say Joshua's finished. So the payoff is that big that they've got to take it, because if they put him in with somebody like Jarrell Anderson or Frank Sanchez and he wants to prove that he's taking next gen on, right, and he gets beat, then he is finished, because they haven't really got any names on the record yet, have they? So he could get beat against an up-and-comer, or even like a Martin McCauley. Could he? Martin McCauley's got the tools to beat him anytime he wants. He's already done one gold medalist, Danny Yoka.
Yeah.
They're not going to go near them fights. This is why they've gone to Saudi, and Eddie's all that. We've got 7 more fights left. If he fights 3 more times, I'll be amazed, Joshua. I will be amazed, Alex.
Yeah, I don't think that. I think Eddie moves on quick. You need to remember, Eddie's always been for blood. He's a money man. Eddie was the guy that said, what was it? Never, never get too upset over a pound note or these types of things. These guys are money obsessed maniacs. Eddie is only now. All he's doing now is being courteous to Joshua. That's all he's doing. He's being courteous to him, and he's giving him the retirement package. Couple of easy wins, few big paydays, another 4 or 5 million, 10 million in the account. Eddie's being courteous because the paths are always going to cross, and Eddie probably doesn't want to fall out. But you need to remember, Joshua did all of those things. He said he was just focusing on himself, but he removed them on the social media, and there was a massive, obvious problem with the two of them, where that cuddling and grabbing one another in the ring no longer is a thing. Eddie's been distanced by him, and maybe rightly so. Maybe Joshua feels butthurt that the guy he thought he could count on has basically put him out to pasture. Everybody's got a shelf life. It's a business, and it's a cruel business. And friendships don't last forever. That's just life.
Okay, then we'll finish off on this for this little bullet.
Yep.
Who you got then on Friday? It's Friday, isn't it? Fight, don't they? But is it Friday or Saturday? It's Friday.
Yeah, I think it'll be Saturday.
Saturday. Don't see what 8th.
Well,
March 8th it is. Isn't it? What we're on today? 5th.
Yeah, it's Saturday.
So 8th's not Saturday, is it?
Is it Friday? It's unusual for it to be a Friday night.
Is it? Yeah, I'm sure it's Friday. They've done it March 8th because, if you remember, Ali fought Fraser on March the 8th in 1971. So it's 53 year. Yeah. No, 50
right.
year, isn't it? Yeah.
I think this is when we're going to see if he's got any problems at all with his chin. Francis Ngannou is not a man that takes a backward step. He's a very unusually built man. You know what I mean? He's a monster. In the true sense of the term, Ngannou's a monster. He's got a head like a beer barrel. Powerful man. Extremely resilient. Came from a outrageously difficult lifestyle upbringing. He wants it. He's extremely hungry, and I think it's the wrong time for Joshua. I think if it was 9 or 10 years ago, it could be a different outcome on athleticism alone. But I think if Ngannou connects, I think it will be an early night for Joshua, and he will find a way to connect. He'll find a way. So, Joshua's not the best boxer, Russ. He's not the best movement.
So, who are you going for then?
Ngannou.
Well, I'm going to go for Joshua.
I can understand why you're going for him.
Well, I'm going to go for Joshua to win, right? But I hope he gets flogged. I hope he gets flogged because I don't like him. He's been a fraud.
I don't like him.
So I hope he gets flogged. But all you laminate holders out there and all you people who work in media, you will all feel the same as me. So go on your social medias and say it. Pop.
They won't say it.
Right. Okay.
And that's I'll no blow the wind up your bum. You know what I mean? I followed your channel from the beginning because when I discovered it, I was like, oh, there's a breath of fresh air. There's a guy like myself that calls it out. Isn't he scared to, get off the fence and actually put himself in the firing line, take some bullets, doesn't he fear slander, doesn't he fear finger wagging, gossip, all the crap that comes with telling the truth. They're all running round eggshells with the Joshuas and all this, let's put these people up in pedestals. He isn't a nice person. If you're going to be honest, he's not a nice person. I wouldn't like to be in the same room as him.
Well, okay, we'll close him off now then, Big Meech, because he's a big stick.
Yeah.
Dylan White's had 4 drug issues in his career, 1 in K2. Then he had the one when he were about 8-0, 1 year as a pro boxer, whatever he took. He had the Oscar Rivers failure, and now the Joshua rematch failure, but he didn't get to fight him. But he's come out and he said he's innocent and been found innocent. What do you make of it all, Alex?
I think it's embarrassing. I think it's embarrassing that these people with these platforms, Eddie, Frank, all of these people with these platforms will actually stand up in the public domain and deliberately, and it's cringeworthy the way they dupe the public, and basically they expect whatever they say that we're going to take as gospel and say, well, it must be true because Eddie said it. It must be true because Frank said it, so it must be true because we're all stupid. All we do is pay your exuberant ticket prices. So we need to follow what you say. White's been a drug cheat his whole life. Massively questionable professional record. Not that he was ever a particularly great fighter anyway. Yeah, he was game and all the rest of it, but so are 99% of boxers. I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't give the guy much thought because for very small periods of time, I found him quite likeable, very small periods. In general, I don't even care. If you're a drugs cheating boxing, you need your wings clipped, and that's the bottom line. The fact is, we've allowed it in the door, and we've not stopped it in its tracks and made massive examples of somebody. Now they're all doing it because they know the Ben scenario. They know there is going to be no fallout. So it's literally a free-for-all for dopers and cheats. Yeah. So the sport is in decline, and the sport is in it's having a slow, agonising death.
Okay. Bricktop and Eddie Hills. What do you make of all that? It's a bit like John Fury and Big Meech, isn't it? Having a love-in. What is all that? Is it just pretend fake beef? Is that what it is?
No, this is all really heavily scripted. They've got consultants on board. That's all right. They've got advisors on board, and they are definitely taking very professional advice on how to reach out to a much bigger global audience. None of this is by chance. It's not off the cuff, let's kid on my mates. A huge portion of the blame has to lie with the thing that's bothering me the most, which I call the elephant in the room, and that's the journey into Saudi Arabia and taking our sport, our beloved sport that I was brought up watching all my life. Big family, cousins were all fighters. For me to see my sport be taken to one of the most questionable countries on planet Earth exclusively, I just feel that the whole thing is now going to be a stage play. They're not allowed to swear. They're not allowed to be boisterous. They're not allowed, you won't see John Fury in Saudi flipping tables and all the rest of it in front of His Excellency. You won't see any of that. All you'll see is men doing what they're told to be doing and behaving and being courteous and being overly courteous, and actually to a point that's quite sickening, where they're brown nosing and worshipping and kissing the hands of people that call the shots where folk have to be flogged to death and stoned and all the rest of it. And it's a despicable farce.
Steady on there, Alex. Steady on there. Going on about stoning people. You know that only Tony Bellew's allowed to do that. Stone him in the stocks, according to Tony, who got greedy.
Yeah.
Okay, then we'll move on from that. Uh, Strength and condition men in the sport of boxing and nutrition men. Are they needed or do we just need a trainer? What do you think?
A good old school coach knows every trick in the book. They're a dying breed. Guys like Tibbs, you know, the old school guys, even Freddie Roach. Do we need to? Do we need the Ben Davidsons of the world? Folks say that you can't fault him because look what he done with Tyson. Tyson's a once in a generation heavyweight. Anybody, I could have trained Tyson to a world title. It's not me doing it. Tyson's took himself there. That sounds a bit critical in Davidson, but no, I think it's got stupid the way these guys enter the ring. They've got an entourage of 50 people following them. What do those 50 people do? You look at any old fight, a fighter walks to the ring, there's 2 or 3 people with him. That's it. And nowadays they're bringing double-decker busloads. It's just got a bit ridiculous. Nutrition men, I don't understand it. You know, we all know what to eat and we all know what not to eat. Does it give you an edge? I can understand it in cycling when you're talking about marginal gains and you've got to rip, you know, grams off a man's body because you can't take any more weight off the bike. But I don't understand it in boxing. I think it's got a little bit stupid now. Everybody's able to create a job for themselves in boxing now, it seems. Every man and his dog's got a job and a position, and they're all apparently needed. So why were they not needed in the 80s and the 90s?
I told that story all the time down there about Broch. He used to do it, carry his own bags, prepare his own kit, sort his own food out. In that whole part and parcel of being a champion and doing it all yourself.
Guy's a throwback. I mean, people hate him. They love to hate Froch. I personally love him. He's absolutely, you know, a true world class fighter. He's my favourite British fighter. I love Joe Calzaghe and everybody, but I love Froch because he he is actually he could get on the stage as a comedian. You know that sense of humour. Where the majority of people don't know if he's been serious or not when he's bumming himself up.
Listen,
Him and
all right, what you've got to understand is he's done a sports degree, so he knows about what to put in your body and what not to put in your body. He knows what foods to eat, so you've got that full feeling, but it's not going to put weight on. They know all tricks of trade, but he prepares his own stuff and does all that because he's hands on. Because then, if you're making a mistake, if you're employing somebody and you text something wrong, you come get banned. For example, I says, "Oh, how come you're dumping that big bag and all that stuff out your car and that, and you got nobody to do that?" No, you champ. And he's like, "Why do I want to pay somebody to tell me what time to eat, what time to go to bed, what time to get a run, and to carry my bags? Why do that? It's just you're not being normal then, eh? He's just doing the same thing you were doing from as a kid, isn't it? I suppose you just do your own thing, don't you? It's like Shane Warne, if you see him get off at minibus at Headingley when they play cricket. All Aussies used to carry the bags. Shane Warne, they were a fag, but then he's just about to bowl England out, isn't he? And all England team, they've all got a PA, haven't they, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's shite when you get on that pitch, does it? And it's same with boxing, and you can have all teams in the world around you. But once you get in that ring, it's just you, your fist, and another man, and he's got 2 fists as well. Do you know what I mean? That's how
I think that's why Carroll gets to enjoy the life that he now enjoys because he exclusively was in control of his finances and his destiny. He didn't have all these management teams and advisors and investors taking his funds. By all accounts, he's a tight ass, and good luck to him. He controls the purse strings. He's got a property portfolio. I know a couple of boys around Nottingham, guys I served with, and they're like, yeah, he goes and like one of his tenants will phone him up and say, oh, this light's fit, and he'll be away out fixing it, and he does everything himself because it keeps him busy. And he's like, well, I don't want anybody ripping me off because they all know I've got a few pounds, so I like him. He's hard not to like.
Yeah, well, I don't think
and he's as real as it gets. A lot of these modern guys could take a leaf out of his book. There's a lot to learn watching a guy like that can handle his own affairs across the entire spectrum. You watch the England team, No point talking about the Scotland team. I couldn't even name one of them. You watch the England football team coming off a bus. There's no characters anymore, right? There's no personality. They're carrying their little Louis Vuitton wash bags, you know, £1,000 wash bag, and they won't even look at a child that's came to see them for a wee autograph or a wee picture. They don't give them the time of day. I've got no interest in watching football. It's full of dogs. You know what I mean?
You've heard
Hate it. Hate what it's become. Drives me nuts.
Yeah. You've heard my little story about Billy Bremner, haven't you, that I've told on here, haven't you?
Yeah, I felt it.
Well, I used to go out when he used to pull up on our street because Kevin and his dad were his mate and all that, and they're all into football. And I used to be out there, chunky kid with glasses on, fat kid with ball under arm. He used to have a Nissan Silvia on an A-Reg. I used to stick my head straight in his car as soon as he used to pull up. I used to go, all right, Bill. I said, aye. I said, what are you doing? He'd go, I'm talking to you, son. Talking to you.
Brilliant. You don't get characters anymore. No, nobody's allowed to be themselves anymore. Characters dead.
Billy Bremner used to go in Tumbler down here, we call it the Tumbola. He used to go in there and play panel games in week with miners and stuff. So he's a normal bloke, wasn't he, Billy Bremner? But you won't get that today with Scotland's manager, or I don't know even know what captain of Scotland is. You won't get that. Even generations after Billy, I don't think you get Graham Souness or Charlie Nicholas sat in
No,
pub, would you, with a load of miners every week, would you?
no, Charlie Nicholas. No, I'm not a fan. He's not nice. He's not a nice fella.
Did well for Celtic, didn't he?
He did, aye, absolutely. You know, but I don't think he's that nice a person. Not that he'll care what my opinion is. I just have an opinion. Nah, I can't really name anybody that I would be desperate to meet and have a coffee with. You know, I, I'm not really big on celebrity. I don't get all, you know, starstruck by them. They're just people at the end of the day, and some of them are just not very nice.
Yeah, okay. Finish off on this one then. We're on here. Oh, we'll finish off on this. Crusher Ben, is he going to fight? I know we've covered this a lot, but we had your opinion on it, Alex. Is he going to fight Eubank, yes or no? And in negotiations, who would you say holds all the cards at the moment?
I I know that I've met Connor once. Guy up in Glasgow, Colin Belshaw, Saltire Gym. They brought Nigel up for one of those meet and greets. Nigel was brilliant. It was a great night. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Connor was there. Decent enough lad. This was 2 or 3 years ago. Very disappointed in what's become of him. I can't. I know about steroids. I know about how things get in your system. Impossible scientifically, biologically impossible to have that in your system unless you put it there. To go this length of time in denial, it's a bit of a sad indictment in how things are these days, where you're not really getting called out. I think Eubank holds all the cards. I don't think Connor's got a leg to stand on. I don't think he's got any battering power. I don't think he sells a gig. Most of his fans have fallen off the edge of the world. People are so disappointed in him. That's what I see on all the boxing forums. And you can't let your nostalgia for his dad and those incredible fights get in the way of things here. There's no point looking at this with the rose tinted glasses. Sadly, Connor's a drug cheat. I'm happy to say it. And I would actually say it if he was stood next to me. I'd say I'm disappointed in you, mate. You and I know how that get in your system. It was monstrous. His power was phenomenal. Now it's gone. That doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't. No.
Not at his age. He's in his prime of his life. You don't just lose that viciousness. So Eubank should actually just say, do you know what? I'm not giving you it. You don't deserve it. You can say what you want about Eubank. He's as clean as a whistle. I know he's a pain in the arse and he rocks the boat, but I quite like him. I don't think he's done anything overly annoying to generate the amount of hate he gets. I don't think he has. I don't think a lot of it's justified.
Yeah. Okay. Who's gonna? I'll just throw a couple of fights at you now, and just tell me who you think could win or who would have won if they'd have fought. Joseph Sapida, is it Jose Sapida? Sorry, against Dalton Smith in a couple of weeks. Innit? Who have you got for that?
Sapida, I would think, would win that.
I'm going to go Dalton Smith on points.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fancy Dalton Smith. Sandy Ryan against Terry Harper, box rec #2 against #4. That's a good fight, isn't it? What do you think to that?
From what I've seen of Arthur, I think I would pick him in points. I think he'll go the distance. I think he'll get it.
Do you think that Sandy Ryan will get a fair shake if it goes to points?
Does anybody get a fair shake if they want? It depends what the narrative is. Depends who the salesman is, who does the most tickets. That's what I think.
Who have you got in that fight then, Alex? Harper or Ryan?
Arthur, I'll take.
Harper on points, yeah?
I'll take Arthur on the distance and points, aye.
All right. What about Tyson Fury versus Usyk? Who have you got in that, Alex?
Jeez, I've flipped my mind so many times in this. Usyk is phenomenal. I've always went with Tyson, but I'm starting the pendulum swinging, and now I'm starting to go Usyk. His hunger is unbelievable, and I think we could be seeing him coming into his little moment of greatness. Maybe this is going to be his time to shine. I don't even think we've seen the best of Usyk because, let's be honest, Tony Bellew, when they bring the best out in him, I love Fury, right? I love the bloke. I think he's phenomenal. It's going to be a hard one, but I'm going to say that if Usyk can get to him, I actually think he can knock him out. I think he can keep him down. I know he's been down a few times. He's been down quite a few times. I think Usyk can put him down, and I think he can keep him down.
Can you pick one, Alex, and put me out of my misery, for fuck's sake?
It's a fucking hard one. Usyk, I'm going to go Usyk.
You're going to go Usyk, yeah. Right, okay.
I'm going to go Usyk. I'll actually be shouting for Fury on the night, by the way. I'll be shouting for the British guy, but I'm going to say Usyk's going to potentially dethrone him. Aye, I'll go with Usyk.
I'm going to go for Terry Harper on points, and I'm going to go for Usyk on points for the simple reason that I think Tyson, for the last few years, has not put the effort in. He's been picking and choosing how he gets easy fights and easy money. And I think it's a bit late in the day to be putting your foot down on training sessions and trying to make it just like he used to do years ago when Peter first started training him. Every camp he was having to take a minimum of 6 stone off every single camp minimum.
And
this what he lost with Ben Davison, this 8, it was only really 2 stone more than what he was taking off anyway. He's done it all his career because he's got a good mindset when he's focused. But I think when you get to this age, and look at the fat he was carrying on his back and that. Have you ever tried running with a 10 kilo, 20 kilo weight on you or 5 kilo? That's what it's like for him. So he can't get about like he used to do. He can't get out at way shots, can he? And he can't land like he used to. So I'm going to go Usyk on points or late stoppage, but Usyk points. But whether he gets the nod, I don't know. But for all the world to see on the scorecards and that, Usyk. School him on points and maybe stop him. Not one punch KO knockout, overwhelm him till there's no left in tank, just like Bellew and just like he's done to all the rest of them. The bar. That's what I think. So I don't know what you think.
It's a good shout. Usyk's work rate's phenomenal. It's unbelievable. He's the best that's about just now. It's really hard to argue that anybody's even within a mile of him. I think his work rate's going to be the deciding factor. And I would always have said Tyson's work rate for the mass of the guy's phenomenal. He did fight like a middleweight, but he he definitely isn't in the shape that he should be in, and I don't think his private life, his mental health, or anything's helped his career at all. You know, I think it's always kept him at maybe 70 or 80%, and he's got by on absolute natural ability. Music's just a
Good
different
matchmaking.
breed.
Good matchmaking. That's what.
Yeah,
Good matchmaking. Didn't fight.
definitely.
Didn't fight Lewis Ortiz. Didn't fight Vladimir rematch. There's been various others he's not fought. He hasn't fought Joshua yet, has he? Still hasn't fought Usyk yet. We've had 2 pullouts, so don't hold your breath. Right, I'm gonna go off. Have a nice coffee. Nescafe as a zero. A zero. I'm gonna try this. See if it's any good. All right, you take
I
care,
think
Alex. Thanks for that. Thanks for coming on.
I appreciate it.
All right.
I'll talk to you again. All right, you take care.
Well, managed to get through 5 points because you're the new dripping tap. You can talk for England and Scotland. All right, Andy. You, Alex.
Right, let's take it easy. See you later. Cheers, bye.
Thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving a comment. Peace out.